Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Steve Kenyon Podcast. I'm Steve Kenyon. We are counting it down to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, the Wrangler National Finals Breakaway Roping, December 3rd and 4th at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, December 5th through 14th. Of course, at the Thomas and Mack in Las Vegas. You can watch it all live on the Cowboy Channel. We'll be there every day. I'm actually doing 3 shows a day from Las Vegas and from the NFR. Be on Western Sports Roundup with Ty McClary every afternoon from the South Point at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Las Vegas time. We're bringing back the Call Show on the Cowboy Channel. That'll be at 11 o'clock in the morning, Las Vegas time. Cowboy Christmas, you can watch it on the Cowboy Channel Plus app. And I'll have a chance to be a part of the NFR telecast nightly during the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. We'll talk a lot more about that on the Cowboy Channel over the next few days that are coming up, thanks to Unbeatable Feeds, to M2 Ranch Jerky, to Equinity products online at teamequinity.com. A big thank you to the Grandview at Las Vegas. That's the place we stay during the Wrangler NFR, and they've still got a few rooms available. So if you're making a decision that you want to go to Las Vegas, go to dailymanagementresorts.com and get yourself hooked up at the Grandview. The Justin Boot Company, the Standard of the West since 1879, to Wrangler, to Resist All, to the Gooding Pro Rodeo in Gooding, Idaho, to Next Gen Rodeo, to Rodeo Life Magazine, our newest partner, and they've been in business since 1961, and a big thank you to Rodeo Life Magazine. Today's featured interview brought to you by Classic Ropes and Classic Equine. It's with Taylor Munsell, who heads into the Wrangler National Finals Breakaway Roping, number 5 in the world standings, $133,000 for the year. This is her 4th qualification to the Wrangler National Finals Breakaway Roping. She's had an interesting run throughout the course of her years of qualifying. She always moves up a couple of spots in the standings. 2 years ago, she entered 4th, ended up the Reserve World Champion. Last year, she jumped from 7th to 5th. This year, she won rodeos in Reno and Claremore. She was a co-champion in Hermiston and Abilene. Very talented breakaway roper, over $500,000 in career earnings. Here's that interview with Taylor Munsell, brought to you by Classic Equine. Play to win. We are Classic Equine. And by Classic Ropes, success is in your hands. December 3rd and 4th, the Wrangler National Finals Breakaway Roping will take place at the South Point Hotel and Casino. And a lady who is qualified for her 4th National Finals is Taylor Munsell, and she joins us. Taylor, welcome. Congratulations on getting back and being in a spot where you're gonna have a shot at this thing, I think, this year. You're going in the number 5 spot, but you're only, I don't know, $15,000 behind Shelby at number 1. Tell me about what you're thinking as you get ready to go compete in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's always a to make the finals, and I'm super excited to be going back for my 4th one. This is the best chance I've ever had going into the finals to win the world. I've always went in setting really good, but whoever was winning first was always kind of a ways out there. And this year, it's going to be cool because it's going to be kind of a knife fight. I'm 5th, and I have a chance, and I think even below me has a chance if they have a good final. So it'll be cool to watch, and I think it'll be exciting this year without first place being so far ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. At every finals that you've qualified for, in 2021, you entered 6th and you moved up to 3rd. In 2022, you ended up as the Reserve World Champion. You jumped from 4th to 2nd. 2023, last year, you jumped from 7th to 5th. So you've always moved up a little bit. Do you feel like you've always had good finals?
Yeah, I do feel like I've always had good finals. I always feel like it starts out good. I haven't ever got the average secured, which is something I've always looked forward to doing. That's a big goal. I've always placed in the average, but I haven't got it won yet. So that's obviously a big goal for this year because considering who I'm competing against, I'm not going to be able to just go have a decent finals and have a chance at winning the world. I'm going to have a pretty great finals. So obviously the average is in sights for this year. And then even if I don't end up winning the world, I still get an average title out of the deal, which is something I've always looked forward to.
Yeah. Winning the average at this thing is hard, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
there's only, am I right there? Katie Williams roped all 10 a couple of years ago. I think she's the only person to ever rope all 10.
Yes. If she, it's tough, especially running like 5 a day in one day. It makes it even more tough. Like you don't have a lot of time to regroup, reset, and your horse's mind is on it, and they might get to thinking too much about it, or you get to thinking too much about it when it starts to get down to the last couple, the end of the day, either day.
The WPRA's website, your biography lists three horses: a horse named Ray, a horse named Colonel, and a horse named Monster. And Monster has been your old standby. What's your horse plan as you get ready to go to Las Vegas?
Right. I just picked Colonel back up. I haven't rode him since before Pendleton. But I just picked him back up from OE, and I'm gonna start getting him or start riding him. They've got him in shape. But my plan is to ride him at the finals this year. For the most part, the Kevs are going to be a little bigger this year, and I just feel like on him, he's easier on bigger cattle like that are bigger and longer strided. Monster's so little that it's a little tougher on him. You got to be a little more accurate on him.
Um, let me read something to you from the Wrangler Network from last year before the finals. Fun facts about Taylor: her success in the breakaway roping has really come because of two factors: a horse named Monster and an injury. Her family did a lot of team roping when they weren't busy ranching that nearly destroyed her shoulder, and she had to have it reconstructed. What's that been like? How much time do you have to spend on maintenance to this day? Do you have to do extra things to take care of that shoulder?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's kind of crazy because I've had it. It's been so long now that I just everything I do kind of leads to that. I mean, it's there's a lot of I have a PT, I have a chiropractor, I have a massage therapist. I have a whole bunch of people that help me and help because it's kind of constantly changing. You know, once you get one thing feeling good, there's something else that starts feeling out of whack.
Wait
And
till you get to
then
be my
hauling,
age.
yeah, that's what they tell me. But they hauling and rodeo in general is hard on it. So I like it's as far as like how I sleep. I can't sleep on my right shoulder. I can't pick my arm up above my head. On planes, I always sit against the left window so I don't lean on my right shoulder. Driving, I can't lean on my right shoulder. I have to make sure, and I don't drive with it above my shoulder height, and I don't lean on the center console. And then it's just kind of like a whole bunch of things like that. And then obviously practices are a lot different now. It's a quality over quantity practice. If I get a practice where I get kind of frustrated and I run like 40 kevs, I'm not going to be able to rope the next day or not be able to get any good out of roping the next day. So I've had to learn how to really get done what I need to get done in as few runs as I can and still feel confident that I'm ready.
Yeah. Um, so tell me, I want to ask you about two horses. I want to ask you a little bit more about Monster, but tell me about Colonel. You said that he's a little bit bigger. The calves are going to, everything I've heard is the calves are going to be bigger this year across the board. Is that right? And talk to me about Colonel and how he helps you.
He's been such a great addition. He was a horse that was sent to me to ride, and after a while of riding him, I decided I had to have him, and I figured out a way to get him bought. And I knew that if I wanted a rodeo, I needed one more link in my team. I grew up on Ray and Monster, and I knew that they'd both get it done. But to be as good as I wanted to be, I needed that one more horse that was just a freak athlete, and that's what Colonel is. He's changed my roping so much, and he's helped me be a better horseman. And he is so athletic and talented. He honestly kind of makes it easy. Like you can kind of miss the barrier on him, and you can kind of rope hard cattle on him and stuff. Like he gives the extra, or he's got the extra to give, I guess.
You know, it's funny you say that he was sent to you to ride and you decided you had to have him. I talked to Kelsey Domer the other day, and we got to talking about horses, and she kind of told me the same story about Little Man. That
Yeah,
she was supposed to do some video for some folks to try to help him sell him, and called up her family and said, "We got to have this horse."
yeah,
Yours is kind of the same story. It sounds like.
yeah. It was very similar. I'm super thankful that it all worked out the way it did. It was God's plan and it was meant to be. It was a really, really special deal. I got him from some special people, and it's super fun now because they're in my corner supporting me, and I know where he came from, his whole everybody that's ever had him, and it's real fun.
Your monster horse, that story I read from the Wrangler Network, Monster's been kind of your number one for a long time. I'm not sure if he's been your Tom Brady or not, but he's been your number one for a while. Um,
Yeah,
and and he kind of has an interesting story too. Your dad bought him out of a sale barn, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he was a special. Yeah, my dad bought him for a couple $100 out of a horse sale, and it was just a deal that they let him through the ring as a 2-year-old, and he was skinny and stuff, and he didn't get bid on. And my dad went in the back alleys and bought him from the guy that had him. And the guy actually had 2 horses, and my dad only bought one. And he said that's one of the biggest regrets he has is not buying both of them after the way Monster turned out.
Hmm. Interesting. Taylor Munsell's joining us as we get ready for the National Finals Breakaway roping. Tell me about this field of ropers from top to bottom. It's darn sure talented. Shelby's number one. She's won $147,000. The top six are all within like 17,000, 15,000, something like that of the number one spot. So it's going to be competitive, but three first timers, a lot of veteran talent, people like Jackie. What do you think of when you think of the rest of the girls you're going to be roping with?
I think it's awesome. I think it's going to be a great showing. It's a great field of athletes, and we're starting to. The 10 head average thing is something that was very new to us, and I feel like there's a lot of veterans now, and a lot of people are figuring it out, and they're figuring out how to be prepared for it. And I think it's just going to keep getting tougher and more exciting to watch the finals. And I feel like this is going to be the best year yet.
Yeah. There are a few gunslingers in the herd. People like Danielle, who are not afraid to let it fly. How do you describe your roping, Taylor?
Um, it's hard. I feel like I change kind of day to day. Usually, a lot of the time, I feel like I'm pretty good at being pretty smart, and then sometimes I kind of come a slinging. Uh, it really, I feel like all kind of comes down to the horse I'm on. Obviously, when I get backed in a corner, I feel like I'm pretty good at fighting my way out of it. And I do kind of like coming from behind, so that kind of makes me excited for the finals this year. I'm going to have a great finals and win the world, or I'm not. I'm not going to, but I get to go in kind of dogfighting it out.
Yeah, it's funny because I asked that question and you were talking about, sort of letting the situation dictate. You were the first champion of the breakaway roping at the Calgary Stampede in 2023. And you're smiling when I bring that up. That's kind of a nice little piece of history to own, but it came down to a final four round, right? Make sure I got the
Yeah,
story right. And in that fight, you'd been 2 and 4, and I think 3 on your first 3 runs. You were 1-7 on that final calf.
yeah, I was just biding my time. Uh, the calves are a little tricky. There was 2 sets of calves. There was a beef set of calves that were pretty good, and then there's a Coriani set of calves that were kind of waspy that didn't leave and then run real hard and were kind of wild. And I had just kind of like been easing my way through them, and then in the 8-man round, I drew one that run off, and I was like, "There's no way I'm making it back," and they let me sneak in there, and I was first out in the 4-man round, and I drew a good one, and I wasn't gonna back off of it, and I just ran at it. I knew the 3 behind me in the breakaway. You can never trust who's behind you, no matter who it is, because everybody knows how to be fast when it comes down to it.
Taylor, tell me about your family influences and the people who I talked a little bit about you growing up in a family where the team rope a lot when you weren't ranching. Do you ever remember not roping? Who were the people behind you that helped you get here?
No, I don't for not roping. I grew up one side of my family roadie and the other side ranched. I feel like I got a lot of the best of both worlds out of it. Um, I grew up riding a lot of green horses and horses that weren't finished, which I feel like really helped me to be good at riding multiple horses, which is something I'm happy that I'm good at now that I'm rodeoing. But I couldn't even list the people that backed me. My whole entire family's all stepped in at some point and done something for me in ways I probably can't even remember from the time I was young. I mean, we've done this for so long now, I couldn't even tell you the first time I swung a rope or rode a horse. But I have a super big family, and they've all supported me so much through this.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the evolution of horses. I did an interview yesterday with Taylor Hanchey, and she was at the Gold Buckle Futurity that she and Shane and Caleb Driggers are involved with, and a group of other really talented ropers in a variety of disciplines. And, they're putting on a big futurity that's paying out $500,000 with breakaway horses and calf horses and team roping horses there. Um, Monster's story was unique because your dad bought him out of a sale barn, kind of skinny and not in very good shape for a couple $100.
Yeah,
Could you pull that one off today with the futurities and all the evolution of horses that we're seeing? And I think that rope horses are kind of hitting their next in all disciplines. Maybe
yeah.
that's a dumb question, but it just feels to me like these horses are really taking a step forward now.
They are. It's really cool to watch, and then just how much it's excelled the futurity stuff in the breakaway and the tie down. How much better it's gotten in like the few years they've done it. Um, I haven't gotten into it a whole lot, but I have some babies that are on the ground and that are yearlings that are coming up that are eligible for the gold buckle, that have stallion incentives in those and are eligible for the Riata buckle and all that. And I'm super excited um, in a few years to really, really dive into it. I got the opportunity to ride a super cool futurity colt at the beginning of this year that was barely 4 years old and won 73,000 at the RFA. And it's so cool to see and get that opportunity. And I think it's definitely helping the market. And
Yeah.
there's definitely going to be a whole lot of really nice horses out there here in the next couple of years in the rodeo world.
You've got a master's in education, health and sports science major with a minor in biology from Northwestern Oklahoma State. If you weren't roping, would you be teaching? What do you do when you're not roping?
No, I didn't get certified to teach, but I always knew I could go back and get it or certified if I wanted to teach. I did really love the health and sports science side of it. I always really enjoyed like the training side of it, and thought about being a sports trainer if I didn't end up rodeoing, because the rodeo thing kind of come back or come around in the middle of my college career. So I was thinking of having a different job when I went into that.
You won the college title in 2019, right? Um,
Yes.
and when you think about it, yeah, it was back in there that that was the year that Jordan won Cheyenne for the first time. The American had just added Breakaway. Pendleton had
Yeah.
just added Breakaway. In some case, like Cheyenne wasn't even a sanctioned event that year, but it really was at that point in your career. Breakaway roping was just starting this
Yeah.
explosion that we've watched happen ever since then.
Yeah. If it would have happened later, there's no had already went into a career and wouldn't have ended up rodeoing like I do. I tell everybody I rode the wave perfectly. I had
Yeah.
it timed out perfectly. I finished college and just went straight into rodeoing, but I got my degrees and everything so that if it didn't work out rodeoing, because it was so new, you didn't know if it would or not. I still had my degrees to fall back on.
Tell me about the first couple of go rounds in Las Vegas. How big a deal is it to get off to a fast start down there?
I think it's a pretty big deal. A lot of it comes to mentality. I've heard people say like the first round's the easiest round because everybody's nervous and everybody's like, I'm going to get by this one and then turn it on. And since I heard that a few years ago and it wasn't from anybody in the breakaway I heard that from, I was like, you know what? The first round's the easiest round. I'm going to win that round. And it's worked for me the last 2 years. I've won the first round the last 2 years. But it's kind of fun to go in there and I'm like, I'm either going to win the first round or I'm going to mess up on the first one. And then I got 9 more that I get to go at instead of being safe and messing up on the ninth one is my deal. Like I want to go in a swinging from the get go, and kind of get everybody else rocked back on their heels.
Speed Williams and Rich Skelton won 8 gold buckles in the team rope in between them, and a lot of those years they won it without the average. They kind of did what you just described. They went out of it early and just came back and beat them in the go rounds. But you're right, that average title would be something special, and I
Yeah.
especially at that rope and especially against the talent level you're going to be roping with this year. What do you do between now and then? Are you going to the Kimes Ranch roping in Arizona and some of those other big events?
Yep. I'm leaving for Arizona early next week. Go out there and rope with some friends of mine that I have out there. I kind of do the same thing every year. I go out there early and practice. My home partner, Samantha Fulton, her family has a place. They let me come hang out and always have calves, and we rope every day. And there's a ton of jackpots out there if I need to get back in fighting shape. And then the Kimes Ranch deal will kind of start off our Vegas deal. I guess we'll go there and go straight to Vegas for the finals from
Yeah.
there.
The Kimes Ranch thing starts Thanksgiving Day, the day before Thanksgiving. I forget Chris's schedule exactly.
Uh,
Um,
it starts a few days before because they have the last chance qualifier and then the semifinals.
got it.
And then I think last 4 rounds of the actual roping are on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, it's a short drive from where they're putting on that roping in Arizona to Las Vegas. You have your banquet on
It's kind of
Monday.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
You get to go out there and hang out and rest and then only drive 4 hours to Vegas instead of driving the 16 hours from Oklahoma.
yeah. Do you stick around after the national finals are over? Because there are a bunch of other opportunities to rope in Las Vegas after the Breakaway finals are over.
I do for a little bit for everything, but I'll stay for the few ropings that are right afterwards. I think I head back home planning to on the 9th.
Got it. Well, it's going to be fun to watch you. It's going to be fun to brag about you. It's going to be fun to tell your story, and I'm looking forward to 3 years in a row to go around number 1. That would be kind of a cool thing, huh?
That would be cool.
That's Breakaway roper Taylor Munsell, brought to you by Classic Equine. Play to win. We are Classic Equine. And by Classic Rope, success is in your hand. Our featured interview today on the Steve Kenyon Podcast, brought to you by Rodeo Life Magazine, by Equinity, online at teamequinity.com. Thanks to the Cowboy Channel, to Next Gen Rodeo, to the Gooding Pro Rodeo in Gooding, Idaho, to Resistol, to Wrangler, to the Grandview at Las Vegas, to the Justin Boot Company, M2 Ranch Jerky, and Unbeatable Feeds. Please like and subscribe to our 8 Seconds Media Facebook page. And later on this week, you'll hear from Bob Tallman. I get to stand next to him at the National Finals Breakaway roping. That's going to be a thrill. One of our legends in the world of professional rodeo. That's coming up on the Steve Kenyon Podcast. God bless everybody. Have a great day.